Microsoft, they've reportedly entered a 20-year deal to revive Three Mile Island nuclear power plant by 2028 to supply 837 megawatts of power for its AI data centers. So, I mean, what does this mean for Microsoft, and what does this mean for the AI space in general?
For Microsoft, more life, more wins, more domination, to be very clear. A lot of people over the weekend were asking me, how do I take advantage of this? How do I play it? I've been telling you, Microsoft, BlackRock are two of the companies that run the world. But it takes a lot of power to run some of this. Also, it makes me think, what advancements does OpenAI have? With Microsoft owning 49% of it, that power is needed. I've been seeing some upgrades in ChatGPT over the last couple of weeks. So what does it mean? They're clearly going to be one of the most important players in AI, definitely top 3 in the space, and by them owning 49% of OpenAI. I know some analysts are saying that they're going to lose their lead, but I just don't see how. If OpenAI is the most valuable company in that space and they own half of it, I don't know how Microsoft can lose any value. So
They said that
it's a
Microsoft
classic example of getting richer and to invest in the best companies in the world, because they're eventually going to take the lead.
So there's 2 parts there. It's crazy because the title of my class was not the AI revolution, but it was actually the data center revolution. So it was interesting that this came out the next day, because the whole premise was, yes, we're talking about AI, but it has to live inside of somewhere. And
Absolutely.
so there's a few ways to invest inside of the space. Number one, obviously, we know the chips, but the infrastructure is going to be equally, if not even more important. Where are you doing this at? Now, we talked about security. We talked about power. How do we make power more efficient? Well, we can see if we keep making data centers, we keep putting computers inside there, we keep putting NVIDIA GPUs inside there, we keep using Broadcom as connectivity. Somebody has to power this in a more efficient way. And so when you see a deal like this go through, literally the next day after we were talking about it, that tells you that the focus for their innovation is going to be inside these centers. And to find a way to make it more cost efficient, we have to find better forms of energy to make sure that when we have them in multiple cities, in multiple locations and vast sizes, this is a way that we can guarantee it. It's a battle, right? So if Microsoft is starting with that, then you wouldn't be surprised to see other companies now creating their data centers and figuring out more efficient ways to have energy inside of them. And so this is just this is the beginning, right? And if we watch, and I referenced it last week when we watched what Sam Altman said to Oprah about him talking to the government, the first thing out of his mouth that he says when he's talking to the government is, how do we build more data centers? Like, that should ring off an alarm in your head. It definitely did for me. And so seeing this move is not a surprise. Obviously, we know his relationship with them, having 49% ownership of OpenAI. It speaks to it. But it's the energy. It's energy, power. How are we going to do it? How are we going to stay ahead? How are we not going to fall behind to China? This is all part of it. More efficient energy, more data centers. We got to do more. That second part about Microsoft diminishing, a bit overstated.
Impossible.
A bit overstated. Part of it was the fact that they're reliant inside of these data centers on NVIDIA. And when you look at AWS, when you look at Google, they're starting to say, okay, yes, we use it, but at some point we're going to develop our own. And if you start developing your own, then you can see from a cost standpoint, it's going to be more efficient. When that happens, who knows? Will it be in the next 5 years?
Smartphones.
Right. It's like how we saw with Apple. Like, we don't want to be relying on one company. Let's create inside of our own house. And so that's part of the reason, that the over reliance on NVIDIA for Azure. But NVIDIA owns 80% of the GPU space, bro. So I mean,
what are we talking about?
Who else do you rely on? I don't really. There's not really like a second competitor that could even come into that space in the next, I would say, minimum 5 years.
Yeah.
And so I think a bit overstated. Plus, they haven't even calculated the full impact of what OpenAI is going to have on the company. This has only been, what, a year? Maybe 16 months. So we don't even understand the full capabilities of what that relationship is going to look like. Overstated at best.
And on the geopolitical front, there's another battle that not many people are talking about. When I saw they make this acquisition, they're thinking 10 years ahead. Quantum computing is the next race that we have to master. Everyone who's trying to catch up in the AI space, you're behind the 8 ball. It's too late. So you may get the scraps that are remaining, but the real power source that is going to be needed, which would take a lot more compute, is the quantum space. And I think NVIDIA will lead that. Microsoft's going to have their hand in that. So that's why I always tell everyone, like, I know you're looking for the 8th best company that could break out and be a leader, but the writing's on the wall. They have a great lion's share of the AI space. Quantum is the next big sector that everyone is going to chase, and we have to be China to it. Microsoft, BlackRock, NVIDIA are going to have a big share of that market as well.
Yeah, I think that the next thing to watch over the next few quarters would be that operating margin, right? We talk about it. How much are they getting for every dollar spent?
Absolutely.
If we start to see those numbers come down, I know we spoke about NVIDIA being at 48%, Microsoft was somewhere in like the 32. If we start to see those numbers come down into the 20s, into the teens, that would be a sign that, all right, this cost is more than we thought it would be. But it hasn't happened yet. So that would be an interesting indicator to watch.
And I know everyone wants to know, we'll talk about Intel later, like who could take the lead, but if we can't get most roads fixed in America in time, I don't think we're going to see a whole bunch of data centers pop up in Oklahoma that is owned by Okta or whoever else that y'all think may take the lead. It's not going to happen.
What if AI starts building them? Like they figure out the technology to build the data center.
That would be incredible.
More
be Terminator 8 though.
yeah.
Unplug the machine. My Lord. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the technology, we watched China build hospitals in 6 weeks?
Yeah, some of them just came crumbling down though.
This is true. But you learn. It will learn.
The change order. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, they put them shits up quick.